anybody that knows concrete workers, these are hard-working men. These aren't lazy guys. These are physical, hard-working concrete workers who love concrete. It's like railroaders are railroaders. It gets in their blood. These are concrete workers, and they're hard-working guys. This is devastating to them because they can't work. It was also a good job. Concrete workers make a decent wage. So that's just been yanked right out from underneath them. And some of them, what they've gone through relative to getting medicine approved through the workers' comp, getting their wages approved, just like Mark explained, having to apply 30 times to get a paycheck, they have been getting yanked around left and right. But these guys are just devastated. I don't think Mark minds me telling you, he's lost his home. He's staying with his parents now because he couldn't pay his rent after all this. And every one of them has a similar story of just economic hardship. Damon, I'd like you to interview Damon. Damon, tell them the magnitude of your injuries. I mean, what he suffered is incredible.
Okay, my name is Damon Robinson. I've been an employee in construction at Johnson's Construction for 5 years. I was just pushed through the revolving doors of recovery expeditiously. It was like the physicians who were hired to examine me were under tremendous influence by the insurance companies. They didn't look out for me, so my first day that I returned to work, I was sent home because I couldn't perform my normal work duties. After that, I called unemployment to seek financial help, and my employer told unemployment that I was on a leave of absence. So I didn't receive any money that way. Every item in my house is under liquidation or on eBay or on yard sales. I've been doing like just desperation things for money, so it's been real hard on me. When I fell down, I remember my clothes being cut off of me, and my bones were sticking through my arms. My back was broken, a piece of my spinal cord was floating in my body, and the muscles attached to that were torn. I was bleeding through my mouth, and one of my ribs were broken. The first physician who examined me was an orthopedist. He just dealt with my arm. They didn't want to do any type of workers' comp for my back. It took 3 weeks for my lawyer just to get my back approved to be treated. And then work hardening? It's like an accelerated pace where you work hard and get ready for work. During that, I was hurt, and I was examined by a doctor. He told me to take 2 weeks off of work. Workers' comp doctor sent me right back with no restrictions. And when I threw up because of the pain medication and the muscle relaxers, when I complained about going to a construction site on pain meds, they told me, well, just stick it out. And it took me a 9-panel drug test just to get hired at this job. But now I'm allowed to go to work on pain meds. So it's just been, it's been like I'm just helpless, like I couldn't do nothing, like I was powerless as far as dealing with workers' comp and receiving any type of financial assistance.
Are you still trying to work?
Yes. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm on medication right now as we're talking. I mean, it's a daily formality for me to wake up and to take pain meds. So.
Are you currently working with Justin?
No, actually, I've been doing work on a tobacco farm, 15 cents a stick, picking tobacco, and that's when I can do that. And that's been in Nicholsville, Kentucky. I've been pretty much like a mercenary out here, working for whatever. I'm not too close from holding up a sign, you know, but.
I mean, and this is the bigger issue. Not only do you have 4 lives and 4 families here represented, and these other gentlemen, I'm sure, in the same boat, is you've got a real public policy problem here, real big public policy problem. They let Messer do what's called a wraparound, which made every subcontractor a worker, an employee of them for purposes of workers' comp. So in other words, if Messer screwed up, which they did, Messer ordered this pour. Everybody needs to know that. Messer ordered this pour, and no one checked, and there was 2 bolts instead of 12 bolts. OSHA gave up its inspection duties to Messer, okay? So they give Messer the responsibility to do the checking, okay? So they ordered this pour. Well, what happens is if every subcontractor employee is an employee of Messer, then they're stuck and they can't sue, normally, Messer or another contractor who was liable. Fortunately, Not everybody's on the wraparound, and this is kind of funny. It's a technicality, but I don't care. I get sick and tired of having defense attorneys throwing technicalities at me. When they filled out the waiver form, they did not use the proper legal names of these subcontractors. Not a single name is properly named on the waiver form. So we're suing all those people, and I know that Messer is saying, wait a minute, you can't sue them, we added them. No, 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 no. There's a difference between Messer Construction and Messer Construction Company. You have to use the right legal name. And then other ones weren't on the waiver list. But all of Ohio needs to know this. All of Ohio needs to know this. The state of Ohio and the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Comp allows these wraparound agreements, which basically hurts the workers. And here's the final point. Ohio is going to make a lot of money from this casino. Messer Construction Company made a lot of money from this casino. The subcontractors, a lot of money from the casino. Horseshoe Casino, Rock Gaming, made a lot of money. It's going to make a lot of money from this casino. Here are workers that can't get freaking medicine approved under a workers' comp plan administered by Cheney. So the public needs to know the impact of these things on workers. Now, everybody knows I'm Mr. Conservative and Mr. Libertarian, but I'm also for the little guy. So this is a situation where the state of Ohio needs to know that there's a public policy issue here which needs to be addressed. Do workers need to be treated like this? Everybody makes money. Let's all make our money. And I'm calling on the casino because we did not name them as a defendant. The casino is not a defendant in our lawsuit. And the reason why is because they weren't involved in the building. They gave that responsibility to their contractors. But I think the casino, I think Rock Gaming needs to step up to the plate and tell Messer and these subcontractors, and maybe they should throw a little bit of money. Is it too much to ask the casino to maybe take care of these guys? Is that too much to ask when they're going to be making millions of dollars? Do they realize what $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, for example, does in the lives of these workers? And they're going to be making millions, and they got hurt on the job due to no fault of their own. The fault of the people that aren't taking care of them. It's an outrage. It's an absolute outrage. And I'm honored that these guys chose me to take up this battle.
Is it common on your workers' comp that you have to file 15 job applications?
I do workers' comp, but I'm going to be very candid with you. I have other lawyers in my office and a workers' comp paralegal that handles it. Hey, Doug Hunter, you know the answer to that question?
What's that?
Is it common under workers' comp to apply to have to send out 15 job applications?
No, that's not.
It's not common? That guy right there used to work 6 years in the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Comp fraud department. And he says, no, it's not common.
And have they all been asked to do that?
Yeah. I really want to thank you all for coming here because I'm very conscious of this. When I send out press releases, I don't want to send out needless news, trying to get news. You are doing a service if you can get the message out about what's happened to these guys and the public policy issue. I really do appreciate it, I really do.
Just for a start.
Sure.
Tell again, what is it you're doing? You're filing a lawsuit. Talk about that.
This is usually you're limited to just workers' comp. What this lawsuit is it's suing anyone and everyone responsible for that collapse of that beam and that floor that injured these guys. And what we're saying is they didn't include certain companies on the waiver, so it doesn't apply, so we can sue them. And the ones they did include, they didn't name them right. They named them, they didn't give them their official legal name. So I'm pursuing anyone and anyone responsible for that collapse.
When you said they originally, the first time I heard the they it's Mercer?
Well, Messer is the general contractor. Messer is the general contractor. I would say this: if there's one company that bears the most responsibility, it's Messer, in my opinion. They're the ones that had the deal with OSHA. They're the ones that ordered this pour according to my clients. They said, make this pour. And by the way, these time limitations has affected this project. They have been pushed to meet these deadlines. The general public might be a little worried about that building down there near the courthouse. I mean, if there's only 2 bolts put in here, I don't know what other bolts were put. And can you imagine that? OSHA abdicating their responsibility. And we made a simple request to OSHA. We said we needed some information. They never did comply. They said, fax over your request. We did. They didn't respond.
And are you holding the cement company liable too? Is it Johnson?
The only reason why Jostens is a defendant, the sole purpose of Jostens is a defendant, is if they didn't properly comply with the workers' comp laws, then there might be some responsibility there because of that. But that's the only reason. They're not a third party because they worked for them.
Okay, so they are a third party
No,
though.
they're named a party, but for that sole purpose.
Okay.
They're not somebody that we can hold responsible like Messer or the engineer and the architect. By the way, I find this fascinating. OSHA cites, and this is one of the things I request from OSHA. OSHA cites these 5 or 6 contractors, right? They don't cite a single freaking engineer or architect. Did this site not have architects and engineers? We did our best to find out which architects and engineers were on the site, and they're named in the lawsuit. The particulars, OSHA wouldn't tell us. And we asked the same information from Messer's lawyer, didn't get it. But can you imagine that? Who's the engineer? Did an engineer take a look to make sure, hey, that beam needs to be properly welded and bolted before we pour concrete on it? It's incredible.
How many people are named in this suit then? Messer and
I didn't count them. A bunch. The architects, the engineer that we know of, all the contractors. We did not name the casino because they expected Messer and the rest of them to do their job.
What are you seeking as damages?
As much as possible for these guys because they deserve every nickel. And you're talking about not only their incomes and their lives and their relationships with their spouses and losing homes and whatnot. It's been incredible, absolutely incredible. Make no apologies. That's the only thing they can get is monetary compensation.
How many bolts were supposed to be in those support beams?
12, according to OSHA's report.
Have you already filed a suit or are you going to?
It's filed, yes. Thank you all again for coming.